Hello everyone, my name is Shipa Ahmed Khan. I am a mental health community development worker currently working with Portsmouth City Council. I've been within community development for the last 20 years. So I've worked in the fields of social care, education and mental health as well. So today I want to tell you really a brief sort of outline about our involvement with the PONToon project. So firstly, I'd like to ask you to try and explain what the internet means to this woman. What does it mean to her? So a lot of the women that we have come into our group would really struggle with understanding the concept of what is the internet. So that's difficult in itself. But then what we're trying to do is introduce digital technology to a mixed group of women from different ethnic communities with different levels of education, English and understanding. So the Crosscultural Women's Group is a social support group for vulnerable women. It's for women that may have been experiencing mental health issues, women that probably have experienced domestic violence, they are carers or are socially isolated. So a lot of the times the women that come to the group are sort of quite vulnerable. So we're here to support them. The group offers them an opportunity to learn new skills. We also signpost them to other relevant services that can support them. So in terms of the cross-cultural women's group, we also have women, I think it's very important to point out women from all different age groups. So we have very young women who have newly arrived in the UK to much older women who have been here for 30, 40 years, all at different levels of their sort of integration into the local society. And it's also important to note that some of these women have probably never had formal education either in their home countries or in the UK as well. So we are really working with a very mixed sort of group of women from various different ethnic groups, different racial backgrounds, different faith backgrounds as well. But what we do find is that most of the women understood that access to the internet was needed, okay, but they weren't able to do that themselves, so they would rely heavily on their children or their family members to support them. Majority of the women did use WhatsApp. They were able to do video calls, and some women had social media, particularly the younger women. But however, very few were able to use the internet to make emails, to do GP appointments, job searching, banking, paying bills, shopping, etc. So these were something that was very difficult for a lot of the women to do. So there is a gap, but for these women, there is a huge void in the digital divide. And I know in the UK, we talk about the digital divide. You know, sometimes we might make it sound quite trivial. It's not a sort of, thing that some people can afford it, other people can't. Actually, there's a gap and a void in terms of people's knowledge and awareness and their ability to be able to have access to and use digital media. So in terms of the cross-cultural women's group journey, it started a couple of years before the PONToon projects, and these are when we said that we try to offer workshops around different issues that affect women. So we tried to do some courses with Highbury College. So the tutor would bring along some laptops, 10, 12 laptops to the group. He would set them up, and we would look at doing very basic things like Word, changing font, writing your name, and even more basic to the point of what is your desktop, where is the power button, what is the mouse. So really sort of to give you some sort of context, it was very mixed in terms of some women had never seen a laptop before, had never used a laptop before. Some women had, their children had laptops at home, but again, they've never really had the opportunity to use them. So again, sharing a laptop at the sessions wasn't ideal. So sometimes we'd have 2, 3 women sharing one laptop trying to follow the session. So that was quite difficult as well. So in one of these sessions, sort of later on, we decided actually let's see if we can get the women using the internet. And one of the sessions that we had was around, where are you from? Tell me a bit about your country. What sort of things are, sort of relevant in your culture. So then we sort of tripped, I guess, upon Google Earth and thought, well, let's see, can we find where you live on Google Earth? And honestly, the joy that they found, in finding their homes and villages thousands of miles away, it's just really, really heartwarming. Women were able to say, oh, look, I'm from Bangladesh, and they were able to zoom in and find their townhouse, and they were able to go to the front door. It was really, really empowering for women to feel that, actually they're thousands of miles away, but yet they can connect with their home countries as well. So the next stage then was actually, how about reading articles in your first language? Again, that was a new world, opened up to women. They can get access to, newspapers, video clips, YouTube, things like that from their home countries. So what this showed us really was that the women had a real desire to learn, more around sort of this digital media. So this led us in 2018 to the PONToon project with the University of Portsmouth, and also the Aspects Gallery. So we worked with artist Maria and filmmaker Linda, and our aim was to get women using digital technology, things like cameras, to make videos, interviewing one another. And the ultimate aim was that we would produce some sort of digital artwork that would be displayed at the Aspects Gallery in Portsmouth. So in terms of the PONToon project then, the target group obviously was Black, Asian and minority ethnic women, which the cross-cultural women group was for. The age range was 18 to 35 years. Now this, although we managed to get women from that age range to join in with the projects, we were very mindful that we couldn't exclude the other women of the older generation who also really were very keen to get involved. And again, we didn't stop them from doing so. We allowed them to be a part of the project and to get involved as well. Childcare was an issue, so a lot of women had young children. So again, the PONToon project were able to support women to do that. And what we found in the past is that women haven't accessed formal learning because they don't have childcare. And it's not so simple as to say, well, they can live with friends and family. A lot of women are very isolated. They don't have extended family or friends. So childcare was always an issue. If they wanted to get into educational learning, then they weren't able to take their children with them. So we were able to provide creche at the group. And the other important thing for particularly stage one with PONToon was that the sessions were held at the group itself. So the group where women came to, they felt comfortable and it was familiar to them and it's a safe environment. So it was really important to initially start off with delivering sessions at the group venue. So some more pictures from PONToon Year 1. So for a lot of the women, it was the first time that they've ever come across different digital, equipment, cameras, sound recording, videos. So a lot of these were new skills that they were, picking up. And alongside that it really encouraged and improved their confidence. So, they learned to interview one another, having interview skills, photography. So a couple of the first sessions looked at, bringing in artifacts from your culture or things that are relevant or important to you, and then taking photos of that. So really, women picked up a lot of skills in the first PONToon and were really, as you can see from the photos, thoroughly enjoyed it. So these are some more of the pictures, again, very artistic. And as I've said before, a lot of the women, although they were able to take photos, they weren't able to then digitally use those on the tablets to manipulate them to make sort of an art piece. So what we then sort of decided is that actually people can do either, or they could do a collage, if they're able to, and, or do it on the tablets if they were able to as well. So in terms of PONToon 1, we looked at, what did it give the women? It really empowered the women. It empowered them by giving them confidence. They were able to, with the picture at the bottom there, they had unlimited dreams, and then, things like they want to look into employment, travel, learning new skills. It really raised their aspirations and self-esteem. So these are some of the things that really came out from the PONToon project, is to empower women. So these are some of the ones that were able to digitally manipulate their photos, and these are some of the things that they've done. And I love this one here where it says, what dream do you have? And Polly just said, I want to be a photographer. And when I asked her more about that, why do you want to? She said, well, she's really enjoyed the course and she loves taking photos, which she never really realized that she did before. So that's something that's really encouraging and really lovely, lovely to hear from the participant. So PONToon Year 2 was in 2020, early 2020. A lot of the PONToon Year 2 was looking at, again, raising their confidence, but also learning further new skills. And our sort of priority for PONToon Year 2 was to get the women online and set up with emails, and to practice using emails, writing CVs. So that was our sort of main target for PONToon Year 2, is to get women set up and using emails and doing email exchange, attaching documents. And we'd only just started on those. So we had a couple of sessions, unfortunately, before the coronavirus hit. And the other sort of important thing to note with PONToon Year 2, and the photos there you can see aren't of the group setting. It's actually at the University of Portsmouth in one of their buildings. It's really important for us to change the environment for women, to add some value to their sort of learning experience. And what we decided we want to do is to give them the experience of having that in a formal educational environment. And as I said before, a lot of the women have never had formal education. So for them to be able to walk in through the university doors and, walk up to their classroom and, sit at a station, that was quite empowering in itself. And a lot of the times these women would have just simply walked past the building, never really knowing what's inside those doors. So that was just, again, to help with their confidence and, and their self-esteem as well. Year 2, we also looked at VR. So, again, that was something very new to the women, something that they enjoyed, and then they could also look at, think of the possibilities as well. So that was very encouraging. Unfortunately, as we said, with PONToon Year 2 in 2020, the coronavirus happened and we weren't able to complete as many of the tasks as we wanted to do. So what does CCWG normally look like? So the CCWG, Cross-Cultural Women's Group, we have sessions at the Friendship Centre in Portsmouth. We meet every Wednesday from 12 till 2:30. The structure is that we have formal English class, so an hour of formal learning. And then after the hour, we would have an activity, a workshop, arts and crafts, looking at our health and well-being, looking at workshops, exercise, cooking, any sort of new skills that we can, learn or try. That's what we try to encourage the women to do. And it was also important that we invited speakers to come along from outside services so that women knew what support was available in the community and that they were aware and able to access those services and also feel a bit more part of the wider community as well. So what are we doing in lockdown? So learning in lockdown, the CCWG started using Zoom. So these are a couple of screenshots from our first virtual sessions for women. So we've gone back to our English online Zoom classes on a Wednesday. And since then, we've just also added a new class on a Thursday, which is just an informal conversation class. And I think it was really important to note that we need to be mindful of women's mental health and well-being. They don't have the opportunity to go out and meet in the group setting. So, we really want to maintain some sort of group environment within the Zoom sessions. And as you can see from some of the smiles, they really do enjoy seeing one another and having that interaction. So Zoom in itself provided us with some difficulties. A lot of women weren't able to join in. A lot of women don't have laptops at home. Using Zoom from phones is very difficult. So, even trying to get them to use a video, mute, sharing the screen is proving difficult, but we're getting there. And I think it's really important to also say that we're trying to offer our volunteer tutors some online training for themselves. They're lovely teachers, they're brilliant at what they do, face-to-face teaching, but actually teaching online is a complete different environment, and we're actually looking to put a couple of sessions together to help the teachers to do that. So what do we want for the future? Obviously, more digital access and sessions. We want to look at using new equipment, supporting the more isolated women, helping them to be able to log on and join in with the sessions. We want to encourage women to join other workshops, so not just the workshops that we deliver at CCWG, but open up their environment to other areas, other webinars that they can join into. And obviously, the job search and employment is always something that we encourage the women to do. And I think it's really important to remember that we have a lot of quantitative data that we've got from these PONToon projects, but what really matters to us and to me personally is the qualitative data, and that's the feedback that I get from the women of how they've really enjoyed the class, how it's really encouraged them to motivate them to go on and do further learning. These are the sort of things that is really capturing what Pontoon has delivered for the women. And I think the other point to make is that a lot of women felt like they were being left behind in a world which revolved around technology. And I think certainly with Pontoon, we want to try and finish that work that we started. So just to leave you with the last sort of saying that we've still come across is that we want to enable women to be a part of something bigger while making their world smaller and more accessible. Thank you.